So, folks, we are joined by Davidson Hang. Davidson Hang is not just a name, but a brand synonymous with transformative ideas, captivating storytelling, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. As the acclaimed author of Redefining Masculinity and The Great Pause, Davidson challenges societal norms and emboldens readers to embrace their unique identities. His vibrant ENFP personality shines through every endeavor, from his insightful writings in the Great Past Journal to his dynamic presence on the Davidson Hang podcast and Daring Hearts, captivating an audience of over 600,000 YouTube subscribers and about 29,000 Instagram followers. And as we prepare to delve into our conversation on the topic at hand, transforming challenges into triumphs, the Davidson Hang blueprint for success. Here's an exciting twist. First, let us tickle his brain. So, Davidson, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'll mention a few, and I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response without thinking much. If you're ready, let's get started.
Okay.
Okay. So, curiosity.
Asking good, thoughtful questions.
Invention.
Using creativity to do something no one has ever done before.
Future.
Future. Artificial intelligence.
Book.
Creativity.
Movie.
The Joker.
Aliens.
I think aliens are strangers that we haven't gotten to know yet, but that will become our friends.
we might come across aliens in our lifetime. That's my strong gut feel. Yeah. Universe.
Spiritual connection.
Leadership.
Tapping in, finding out what is your special sauce, what's your uniqueness, and sharing that with the world.
Role model.
Right now, I would say it's Tony Robbins.
Okay. And the last one is success.
Is living life on your terms and not caring about what other people think about you.
Wow. I loved it. I loved the response to success and also rest of the words as well. So, Davidson, thank you so much for participating in the first rapid fire round so sportively. There is one more rapid fire round waiting toward the end. And before I welcome you formally to the show, let me welcome the audience. So, folks, welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series where we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. I'm your host, Naveen Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place through valuable discussions that add value not only to your life but also to your career. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Davidson, hearty welcome to TGV, the Guiding Voice. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Congratulations on all of your success. I know it's not easy being so consistent with your podcast. So just wanted to, as someone who has done close to over 300 episodes, I know that it takes a lot of planning, a lot of research, and a lot of trial and error. So just wanted to say congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you so much. And there is a long way to go. And this year, I want to get into the top 1% globally. And all this is possible because of awesome guests like you. And thank you once again for being part of our journey, Davidson. And let's get the ball rolling. We'll begin with your success mantra. So please talk to us the top 3 things that have contributed to your success so far.
Working, which you're doing really well. Doing podcasts helps you connect with a lot of people. So I was number one. Working at LinkedIn has helped a lot because it taught me how to leverage my network and how to build meaningful and authentic relationships. Number 2 would be like not being afraid to just take action. You know, whether it's like starting a YouTube channel or understanding TikTok or just learning something new that I've never done before. That's always been helpful in me publishing. You know, I have 5 books. I have 4, one coming out this year. Lastly, I would say I love how you included curiosity as one of your pillars or one of the questions for rapid fire.
Yeah.
I think just being curious, like having a growth mindset, like, hey, what can I learn from this person that I just met will help has helped me be able to learn from some of the world's best mentors.
Mm-hmm. So I could see learning and curiosity is there in everything that you are doing, right? So that's why you are able to build a great network. And in addition to that, you started learning YouTube in terms of creating content on TikTok as well. And publishing 5 books is not at all easy thing. And I can understand how curious you are. All right. So Davidson, your transition from working with tech giants like LinkedIn and Udemy to focusing on this executive life coaching is fascinating. So please share with us the moment or experience that catalyzed this shift in your career path.
Yeah, I think so. Working at LinkedIn and me and Fortune, I was always in the personal development world because at Udemy, you're learning how to get better with artificial intelligence or machine learning or how to learn more about AWS or Google Cloud, right? So I was always in the world of learning. And then when I worked at Fortune magazine, that exposed me to the world of executive coaching. And
Mm-hmm.
I saw how passionate these coaches were, when they were coaching like the CEOs of. I was very lucky. I got to meet because of the product that I sold, which was a mentorship program. So I got to meet the CEO of IBM and the CEO of like JP Morgan and all these world renowned like people. And it just really just inspired me like, okay, like I want to be surrounding myself with people like that. Right. So being able to learn from executives and helping them because just because you're an executive doesn't mean you're good at like emotional regulation and certain
Mm-hmm.
things, right? Like they're really good at business acumen and strategy and planning. But I always felt like people would like it was weird because I would be a 28-year-old guy and I would have executives calling me asking me for advice, and I was like, why is this guy who's 50 years old who was a chief technology officer calling me for advice? So
Mm-hmm.
I just followed my intuition, and after I helped 150 people with career transitions, I'm like, okay, like I think that's enough data points, like that's enough evidence that I should to double down and pursue this as a career moving
Mm-hmm.
more on a more full-time basis.
Yeah, so one thing being a coach is you get a chance to meet some big shots. Otherwise, it is not possible. And same is the case with running a podcast also. We get access to
Mm,
big shots just like that, right? So we have our own
mm,
brand and people come to us, which is great.
mm,
And I love that point. And Davidson, so throughout your career, like you have been emphasizing on the importance of nurturing meaningful connections. A while ago, also you mentioned LinkedIn has been great source of authentic relationships and also fostering this mentorship. So how do these elements contribute to reshaping an individual's perception of success?
Yeah, I think growing up poor. So my parents were refugees from the Vietnam War. So when my mom and dad moved over here, my mom does nails for a living. She still does nails, and my dad was a bartender at Benihana, which is like a Japanese hibachi place.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up very poor, like, and then everyone around me was also very poor, right? We had government assistance, we had free lunch in school. So I just wasn't exposed to a lot of success. But I started listening to podcasts. So it's amazing that you're doing this, right? Because you think back to all the people that you're helping that are maybe
Yeah.
just 21 years old, 18 years old, maybe even younger, right? And I would listen to these famous podcasters, and I would just reach out to them on LinkedIn, and they would get back to me, and I'm like, oh my god, like this person that has millions of downloads is like writing back to me, and that changed my perception because. I was like, you're saying that if I'm just thoughtful and I talk about what I learned specifically from the podcast, like I might be able to interact with these amazing thought leaders. Like, this is amazing. So that helped me be able to realize, like, okay, as long as I do new research and I'm thoughtful in my approach and I give them feedback, like, hey, I really enjoyed this about it, or hey, this is an area of opportunity. They're like, oh wow, this guy's like contributing. He's like helping me be better. But I always want to provide positive feedback first, because if you go straight into, hey, this is what I don't like about your podcast, like might not be the best way to start off a relationship. But it changed my perception because here I was, a really poor guy making, like minimum wage, working at the movie theaters, like, collecting people's tickets to go watch Harry Potter and stuff like that. And then the next moment I'm like interacting with these like executives or these famous like Lewis Howes, Tim Ferriss, like Michael Gervais, all these amazing people that were interviewing like really rich people like Reid Hoffman, who's the founder of LinkedIn. And I was just blown away. So I just kept doing that, and it just changed what's possible for me and my future moving forward.
And thank you for sharing about your background so openly. I really appreciate it. And also, just to resonate with what you mentioned about learning from podcasts, like for me, learning from podcasts started in 2012 when I was commuting to work through car. And again, I also don't come from a rich family or a wealthy family. Like I come from
Mm,
a humble background, and as and when I started listening to the podcast again. A lot of dreams have planted in me, and I thought, okay, if somebody can
Mm,
do it, I can also do it. Right? That's how
mm,
my journey has started, and I
mm,
thoroughly enjoyed what you said also about connecting
mm.
to people. Right? I also tend to do that. Like whenever I listen to
Yeah.
somebody, either through webinars or podcasts or
Mm,
something, I meant to connect with them. And as you said, people who are
yeah.
really successful, they tend to be humble, but people who are not
Mm,
there yet, right, they may not be open to connect. That is one of the
mm,
realizations.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Yeah. So similarly, 2012 was when I also started listening to
Oh.
podcasts. And then it's a crazy full moment because the guy that I listened to the most episodes, a guy named Scott Ingram, he interviews the top 1% of sales professionals called the Sales Success Podcast. Like I was just on his podcast this week and I was like, oh my
Oh.
God, like it's like, so crazy, like a full circle moment.
Wow, wow. No, kudos to you. I think you deserve a round of applause for that, and definitely congratulations on that. That's a great thing. Wonderful. And Davidson, let's move forward. Like you mentioned about some adversity and also coming from that poor background, right? So, which is not easy.
Hmm.
So, can you share a pivotal challenge you encountered and how it shaped your approach to
Hmm.
personal development as well as leadership?
Ah, that's a good question. So in America, I mean, you hear it on the news all the time. We're like no country is perfect, right? I
Yeah.
would say entrepreneur wise, like being in America, like I would say there's a lot of upside, which I'm sure you have friends that have moved to the US because there's just a lot of opportunities here.
Yeah.
But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't still some microaggression slash like racism.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I would say like when I'm in the boardroom meeting with executives, like hedge fund managers or people that all graduate from Harvard and Yale and have more of like the wealthy backgrounds. Me personally, and I realize now a lot of it was self-inflicting, self-conscious, like more confidence. But I struggled because I grew up poor and I'd be having dinner with these like Harvard, they would invite me to the Harvard club, which
Mm-hmm.
obviously I didn't go to Harvard, right? And then,
Yeah.
you see all these plaques and these like paintings of all these rich white people all around. And, I felt very alone in a lot of those moments because like I would look and see that I don't look like a lot of these people. So a lot of it honestly was just mental shifts. Like I just realized like, oh, they accepted me, but I wasn't allowing myself to feel a part of the community, even though they invited me to all the events. And, you know, so once I got past that and I realized like, oh, like accepted me, it was just me that's overthinking everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna lie, there were some times where people would say like racist comments or they just like what is doing here. But for the most part, there's more people that have helped me, people that have said mean things.
Yeah. Got it. That's so inspiring. Also, Davidson, in your work, you likely encounter many individuals aiming to climb the corporate ladder, right? So, could you share with
Hmm.
us the common misconceptions about success and fulfillment you observe in your
Hmm.
coaching conversations and how do you address them?
Yeah, it's interesting to very successful. He made $3 million last year, right? And I was just sharing with him more because he's helping me tune the messaging.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think someone that has that made 3 million last year US dollars, right, would be very happy with where he's at. But he's like, no, because I have friends that are making 5 million, 6 million a year, right? So it's funny because we think that it's easy. Like sometimes it's like, oh, they're just naturally gifted at speaking, or they have a way to captivate the room, or they just very confident people. But he would share with me, he's like, no, I have a lot of insecurities too. And he's like, because you think that once I made 3 million, I would be happy because I just bought this beautiful lake house that we're having a retreat in a couple weeks in California in the mountains. But he's like, but I want more. I want to get to 1 million subscribers. Like I want to, So he's like, it never stops. And he's like, so even at midnight, sometimes when I should be relaxing with my beautiful wife and kids, like I'm thinking about the next, like, oh, I need to plan my retreat. Like, oh, I need to have Katie come as a guest speaker. So I think the misperception is that people are innately born with these gifts, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so much work behind the scenes that it's
Yeah.
taken them, right? Like in your case, like it's like I'm sure the first 10 podcast episodes weren't as good as the last five, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that would be the misperception. People think people are born like I was voted most reserved in the yearbook, right? So I wasn't always outgoing, speaking on podcast episodes every day, right? But
Yeah.
now I'm at a place where I'm speaking every day. I'm live streaming every day. So that took a lot of time and a lot of practice to get to this point.
Agreed. And which means the rosy picture is only visible to people, but the underlying baggage and hard work, right, that is never seen outside.
Hmm.
Absolutely concur. And let's move forward, Davidson. So let's talk about the tech industry now. So it is known for its fast paced and often high stress environment. And from your experience, how can professionals in such settings maintain a healthy balance between career ambitions
Hmm.
and personal growth?
This is a tricky one because I'm still battling with that myself. So so I'll just share how a couple steps that I've used
Yeah.
to help me be able to be a little bit more grounded.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I applied to work at LinkedIn in the Empire State Building, they interviewed 136 people, and I was lucky enough to get chosen out of that
Wow.
many and out of that
Mm.
many interviews, right? And so, as you can imagine, when you're working at a company where everyone is very ambitious, very career oriented, it's hard to not compare yourself to others, right?
Yeah.
Because I was sitting next to me. There was a guy who was like had like 5 black belts. My manager was like the debate champion of California,
Mm-hmm.
and so long story short, everyone's very, very impressive. So I think the key is to not compare yourself unless you're comparing yourself, like, all right, that's how me personally just be a little bit less hard on myself. But I think humans, like, we like to strive, like to grow, we like to learn, right? So I think having goals that are seem somewhat unobtainable, but healthy enough. Like if my goal is like, okay, I want to be the CEO of Nike tomorrow, then it's like, okay, well, that's a little bit unrealistic because I'm just being honest with myself, right? But let's say my goal is like, okay, I'm currently making $180,000 as a mid-market account executive, but I would like to get to enterprise in 1.5 years because the
Mm.
OTE is $280,000, right? That's a
Yeah.
little bit more obtainable, right?
Right.
So I think having healthy goals that seem just enough where you feel like you're growing, but not goals that are so outrageous that you're going to beat yourself up if you don't make any progress in regards to it.
Yeah. Got it. I love the metaphor out there. It's so great. And sometimes we may have to have those challenges, but still at the same time, I mean, we may have to have the goals, but it has to be attainable. It should not be too far. Of course, we can dream big, but not something which is unimaginable and unattainable, right? Makes sense to me. Let's move forward and talk about the mentorship, right? Mentorship plays a crucial role in personal and professional development. And could you share a story about a mentor who profoundly impacted your life and how you passed on this legacy through your coaching?
Yeah. I had a guy named Mike Ragone who he was the first guy, he was my manager actually, who was the first guy that really believed in me. He's a very on the surface, he's a very like tough, like pretty buff. Like he used to do boxing. He was a ranked golfer. He played amateur golf, but he was really talented. So he when he first met me, I was like, why is this guy saying all these things? I'm like, I don't like, is he just planting seeds in my head? Like I don't even understand why he thinks I could be. He's like, you'll be so much more successful than I ever will be. And I'm like, this guy's a millionaire. He has a beautiful wife. He has like a beach, like a nice pool, like that's like pretty much like a mansion compared to how I grew up. And I'm like, this guy keeps telling me like I'm gonna be more successful than him, and I was just like, all right, like this, there's got to be something here. But then eventually, I finally believed him because he just told me so many times. And it's sometimes like you just need that one person who believes in you, and they just plant that seed. And he would just say something. He's like, if I had a shred of your talent, an ounce of your talent, God, I would not put it to waste. And he kept saying that, and I was like, dude, this guy's so annoying. Like, stop saying that. Like, you're putting so much pressure on me. But eventually, I realized that he taught me so much, and then to share the gift, I would do that with a lot of people that would reach out to me. So a lot of orphans would reach out to me, a lot of people that were adopted, a lot of people that had family who didn't have a father growing up. Because I would share openly about like what it was like not having a father, and I would just share very openly about my insecurities.
Mhm.
So I guess naturally, like a lot of people that were attracted to that, me just putting myself out there on social media, and so that's how I that's why I created this program because I was like, you know, like you just need that one person to
Mm.
believe in you. And I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of people that I've impacted by just planting that seed. And honestly, I see a lot of myself within a lot of these people. So yes, right now they're not making a lot of money, but I see how much dedication, how much effort they put into doing their research. And it always inspires me and it just reminds me of what I was like 10 years ago.
So nice. And I think you are going to cherish your relationship with your first manager for quite a long time. And it is a kind of blessing to have those kind of people in our journey, right? Because many a times I did not see managers turning into coaches, but that is what is actually a great way for somebody to scale heights and understand their development needs in a constructive and in a positive way, right? So I think that's a great
Mm.
reinforcement. And we have had a fabulous conversation so far. And it's time for us to kick off the second rapid fire to just add some more excitement and some more spice. If you're ready, let's get started.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, here comes the first bullet. So, Davidson, if you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
I would say, have you made someone smile today?
Super, spot on, very nice. And if you were to swap your life with someone for a day, who would it be and why?
I would say I would love to. Elon Musk lives a pretty interesting life. I would love to see what that a day in the life looks like. Like I have a feeling it's jam packed, crazy, all sorts of fun conversations.
Yeah, indeed. And can you describe yourself in just one word?
Yeah, I would say courage.
Courageous, okay. And share with us two truths and one lie about you.
I've had 30 different jobs. Okay, yeah. So one of my goals is to wait. It's one lie, right? Okay, one lie. Yeah, one of my goals is to publish 50 books in my
Uh-huh.
lifetime, and a lie is the third one would be I've been to Vietnam, which is my heritage.
Oh.
What do you think it is? Which one do you think it is?
Had 30 different jobs is a lie about.
Nope, I've had 30 different jobs.
Oh, you had?
Yeah, that's why so many people come to me for advice, I think, because
Oh.
or for career coaching because because people are like, well, why would you leave LinkedIn? Like
Mm.
so many people want like apply there, you know. So anytime people are afraid to leave their companies, they always call me because they're like, well, this guy has no reservations about leaving, the golden handcuffs, as you would say.
Superb. I loved it. And here comes the next bullet. Which one thing do you wish you had done differently?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's funny because I've heard this advice so many times, and I still never listen to it. um, I think we all have things that we are ashamed of, right? I would say for me is to be able to just like slow down and just enjoy the present moment.
Mhm.
It's hard because I'm always thinking like, oh, like what should I post on YouTube channel today? I'm always thinking about like how can I serve my audience? And look at the numbers, hard to think that they're actual people, right? I'm sure even especially with podcasting, because you don't
Yeah.
really get as much feedback compared to, being like in person. So sometimes I'll look at my YouTube channel and I'll say like, 189,000 views in the last 28 days. And then I'm like, oh, but last month I got 195,000 views. Like, what happened? So I wish I can just enjoy where I'm at and stop thinking so much about the future.
Fair enough. And that brings me to the last one for rapid fire. What is one fantasy gadget or an electronic gadget that you'd like to invent yourself or see?
Ooh, ooh, that's a good one. I think everyone probably says this, but I would love to be able to have like like a teleportation device,
Uh-huh.
like to travel because the plane rides like for instance when we flew to Fiji, that was like a 20-hour plane ride, right? So it's like, man, like I wish I can just teleport instead of being cramped up in a small airplane for for 20 hours.
Good one. And I loved the rapid fire, and I'm sure audience are going to enjoy this. And let's flip back to the mainstream. So, Davidson, finally, for someone just getting started on their journey of personal development and leadership, what advice would you give to help them navigate the challenges and opportunities ahead?
I mean, Obviously I'm biased, but hiring a coach helps a lot. I've hired 13 coaches in the last 8 years, and
Wow.
when I first hired my first coach, I was only making $45,000 a year, and
Mhm.
then within 3.5 years, I was able to essentially times four my income because I was able to have weekly guidance on
Oh,
what actions and just a lot more focus, right? It's like, hey, Davidson, if you want to make this much, like you should probably apply for an account executive role, right? So
yeah.
it was just able to help accelerate the learning curve.
Superb. Superb. And how is your experience being hosted on the Guiding Voice? You being a podcaster and being a guest on many different shows, right? So I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, I love how you were able to integrate more of like fun and play to this
Yeah.
because the rapid fire I think adds like an element of it's like somewhat entertainment, but
Yeah.
it's also enlightening as well. So I love how you're able to integrate like the two, like, okay, how can it be full of wisdom and practical advice, but still a little bit more fun and entertaining as well. So that I'll have to that's what I was thinking. It's like, oh, like that's cool. Maybe I could incorporate more play into some of my interviews as
Yeah.
well.
So initially, I used to just do only trivia section, and later on, I included one rapid fire, and afterwards, I felt okay. Let me add one more rapid fire. Likewise, it has evolved, as you said, right? First 10 episodes versus the last 5 episodes are different. Likewise, you'll see 1% improvement or incremental improvement from one episode to another episode, and that's how it evolved. And yeah, thank you for that feedback. And so I would like to put you on the spot now. So recommend two guests whom I have to invite on the show.
Hmm. Yeah, I can introduce you to one of my mentors. His name is William Lee. He's a serial entrepreneur. Like he created his own bookkeeping business, but he tried like every business until he finally had one that like
Oh.
really took off.
Hmm.
So he's an interesting guy because not only is he successful like business wise, but
Yeah.
he does all these funny things. Like he'll take a selfie every day just to like just a self love thing, just to remind him how lucky he is to be alive.
Right.
So yeah, he's a really good dude. And yeah, there's a lady named Gina Hansen. I would love to introduce you to. I met her at a conference called the Summit of Greatness. She's like a healer, like a very interesting. She's just so positive, like so bubbly that you're just like captivated by her energy and
Oh.
just her passion for life and for living.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for those recommendations and looking forward to connect with them. And Davidson, I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation and there's a lot to learn and there is a lot of resonance as well. So a part of your life and my life overlaps and I can see a lot of passion in you. And thank you for inspiring our audience with your story and looking forward to many more interactions in future. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
All right. So, friends, that was our episode with Davidson Hang. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. In case if you haven't already subscribed to TGV, the Guiding Voice podcast, please subscribe from wherever you have tuned in because subscribing keeps you updated on new episodes. And also, if you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, please share with at least three of your friends or colleagues who would also like TGV, the Guiding Voice. So, spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. Now let's cruise into the trivia segment. So, in most of the personal development episodes, one thing that is common takeaway is about mentoring. So today I would like to talk about the origins of mentoring. First fact is about ancient Greek roots. The concept of mentoring has its roots deeply embedded in ancient Greece, originating from Homer's epic, the Odyssey. And here, mentor was not just a guide, he was Odyssey's trusted advisor tasked with the education and guidance of his son, Telemachus. And this relationship set the foundational archetype for mentoring, emphasizing the importance of wisdom, guidance, and also trust in the personal development. And next one is about medieval guilds. During the medieval period in Europe, the mentorship model flourished within guilds where master craftsmen took apprentices under their wing. And this system was not just about teaching a trade, it was a comprehensive approach to fostering skills, ethics, and also professionalism. And this tradition underscores the role of mentorship in professional development and the transmission of specialized knowledge across generations. And third is about samurai apprenticeships. The mentorship tradition in feudal Japan among the samurai, known as shugendo, was a holistic approach that included martial arts, strategy, and the philosophical way of life following the code of Bushido. This form of mentorship was not just about skill acquisition, but also about developing character, discipline, and a profound sense of duty and honor, highlighting the depth and breadth mentorship can encompass beyond just career or academic guidance. So, friends, likewise, if you have any less known facts or origins about mentorship, I would love to learn from you. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, you can comment there, or if you have found this episode on audio platforms or some social media platforms, you can comment there as well. I would love to review your comments, and that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome TGV family. And would love to hear from you. Do not hesitate to share your ideas, feedback, topic recommendations, guest speaker suggestions, either through social media, or you can also email us at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com for as in digit 4 and you as in letter U. And let's create content that resonates with you. I'm your host, Naveen Samala, a lifelong learner, and my goal is to have impactful conversations that improve not only your life but also your career. So until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest.